Hello friends, today is my 22nd presentation on the very interesting subject of how to assign roles to the architects, interior designers and MEP designers for performing their core design activities specifically in the ERP environments. What is included in this presentation is one is the overview of the core design activities performed in three design functions, understanding the basic four concepts, which is segregation of duties, abbreviated as SOD to avoid conflict of roles. Number two, development of the authorization profiles or called profiles along with the illustration template, understanding the concept of the roles and attaching profiles to the roles and the steps required for doing that. Overview of the core design activities performed by the three design functions. Uh, Based on the understanding of a mid-site construction design organization, 225 core design activities have been identified by me for 10 illustrative design packages as listed below. 1. Architects 118 activities. This is for 5 illustrated packages for designing of structure, architecture, facade, external development, and softscape works. For interior designers, 37 activities have been identified. We service 3 illustrative packages for designing of the finishing works, furniture, fixture, and equipment (FFE) for interiors and artwork. And for MEP designers, 70 activities have been identified for 2 packages, namely electrical, external and internal, and air conditioning and basement ventilation. The number of core design activities would certainly increase beyond 225 as the number and variety of the design packages increase beyond the 10 numbers. Concepts of segregation of duties, abbreviated as SOD to avoid conflict of roles. In the context of the building design function, SOD refers to the principle of incorporating internal controls and enable the separation of key duties and responsibilities among different designers to reduce the risk of errors, fraud, or other improprieties. This can be accomplished by assigning different roles such as conceptual design, detailed design, statutory approvals, tender design, and making BOQ, etc., to different designers or different teams. By separating these different responsibilities, each designer or team can focus on their own specific task without being influenced by other factors, which can improve the quality of the final design and reduce the risk of errors or omissions. Additionally, having multiple designers or teams involving in the designing process, it will reduce the risk of individual or team making a critical mistake. This aspect related to the SODs have been covered in one of my earlier blogs in my website and is not being repeated. And you can refer to the blog mentioned in this slide, that is avoiding conflicts roles amongst architects and interiors and MEP designers. Implementing SOD can enable avoiding conflict of roles among designers at different levels. Developing authorization profiles, also called profiles. In fact, I just wish to state before starting this that this concept which I am sharing, this can be applied to any other functions in the real estate organization or any other in any other industry. The author proposes developing 5 authorization profiles for performing each of the core design activities. Creating or initiating the design activity, for example, for initiating the concept design or drawing sanction drawings or making a tender, etc. Editing or modifying the above design activities, deleting the above design activities, viewing the above design activities, approving the above design activities. So, illustrative example template for the design of architecture function is captured in the next slide with a suggested profile code numbering scheme, which is given in my handbook in chapter 9. And to keep the focus on this topic of role assignment, which is not being covered here. How to develop authorization profiles. One illustrative process has been taken up in this coming template. The package is design of structure. The design activity, for example, in this case is considered as developing the concept design and schemes based on the design calculation of the PCC or enforcement requirements based on a factor of safety, earthquake zone, etc., and using software like STAD or ETAP. Risk classification for accessing this core activity has been assessed to be as high. Profile number proposed for accessing this core activity are PC02001 to PC02001, that is 5. 5 codes have been proposed for each of those activities which I have suggested. Overall, 1125 profiles have been identified in the lecture 30 of my handbook, covering these 225 core design activities which I talked about earlier. This is considering that organization has implemented the appropriate ERP solutions such as SAP. Developing authorization profile is a template. Now, in this template, you can find that on the first row, the description, the profile number 1, named as PC02001. Then next is 2, profile 3, profile 4, profile 5, etc. And on the second row is the what are the key rights under this profile, each of this profile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is create or initiate, edit or modified, delete, view, approve. Then the next row is function. Which function should be assigned the responsibility? Here in this case, because it is concerning the design of structure, the responsibility assigned to the architecture team. The team assigned for this. Now, the different teams have been suggested, as mentioned earlier, to ensure SODs. So, these are, for example, team T5, which is the architect for all areas. T6 is the functional risk coordinator for this design of architecture. Deletion should also be done by the functional risk coordinator. The views can be given to any of the architectures in all the areas, and the approval is suggested by the functional head, that is different individuals or team members. Employee level proposed for this creating is middle level. The editing or modification is proposed at the higher level. For and Deletion is proposed to be done by the middle level, and view is proposed by the middle level, and approval is proposed by the higher level. Now, by when I say middle or higher, etc., I am suggesting below the position which can perform these functions. Like creating should be done by the senior manager, the editing or modification should be done by the general manager, the the deletion can be done by senior manager, and viewing can be done by, of course, by the managers, and approval to be done by the project head for this structure activity which I have mentioned in the previous page. Now, these team names or positions and levels mentioned in this table are hypothetical for the simple understanding of the readers or the viewers or the listeners, and can be suitably modified at the absolute discretion of the organization. Developing authorization profile continuing. Now, interior and MEP designers can directly develop similar tables as per based on the above illustration for all the packages and for each of the activities. However, before assigning the rights, functions, levels, positions for each profile, for each of these 25 activities, core design activities, a risk assessment must be done to understand whether whether the activity to be performed is risky. From risk perspective, it is rated high or medium or low, as per the methodology given in my separate chapter 10 in my handbook, how to carry out these assessments. The number of activities can be even much higher or enhanced as required based on the size of the construction projects and the design organization. Thus, in this case, in my book, I propose 400 design activities per per function, thus architect, interior, and MEP, and 2000 profiles have been proposed for each of these functions, making this total 2000 profiles for each three design functions, totaling to 6000 profiles. Role. What is the meaning of the role? Role means what a particular professional or here a designer is authorized to do, as per a few examples given below. For example, developing a concept design is one simple role, say simply role called role 1. Simply drafting or generating a drawing is another simple role called role 2. Developing sanction drawings or statutory approval is another simple role, say role 3. Integration of these such designs so developed with the say MEP design or interior design is another role which is relatively complex role, and say consider role 1. Developing detailed design and also making tenders is example of a complex role, say complex role 2. Now, based on the illustration in the template, the configured authorization profile PC201 to PC205 so download can be attached by the HOD architect to the simple roles with the help of IT team. Now, depending on the roles planned at the granularity level. Thus, a role can have one or more combination of profiles out of 1125 profiles for 225 activities, or 6,000 profiles as per the expanded number of profiles which have been planned. And this can be attached to simple or complex roles. How to attach profiles to the roles and steps required. Although the number of profiles can run into thousands, the number of designers in organization is limited. It is therefore prudent that before the final attachment of profiles to roles is done, through thorough testing is done to see that design activities are carried out smoothly based on the competency assessment at different hierarchical levels and positions who will perform such roles. The the three steps are: attaching profile to the roles in the development computer server. Number two is testing the roles in the test servers. And number three is uploading the roles to the production server, through which the designers will be performing their main core design activities. To ensure that no incompatible or conflicting authorization profiles get attached, the roles post testing can be attached to the production servers by following PDC approach, which is called plan to check act approach, the so that the activity gets performed as intended. Thus, the number of roles can run into tens and hundreds, whereas the number of profiles can run into thousands. And so, for example, these different thousands of roles need to be attached to the different roles, which may be tens to hundreds, etc. Now, how do we determine this? This is depending on the size and complexity of the organization, the variety of the construction projects, whether residential, commercial, SEZ, education, etc., skill level of the designers, multitasking role expectation of the organization from the designers, technology of construction, design and software, and design organization structure and empowerment culture, and the risk appetite of the company. Therefore, to enable the digitization of the development thousands of profiles, some ERP vendors like SAP they offer profile generating software, wherein the standard authorization profiles can be developed and attached to the architecture, interior designing, MEP designer for design development. These roles can be assigned to different positions independent of the names of the individuals after factoring the followings: the number of teams and designer functions, number of employee levels, the type of position in the hierarchy, and the competency levels associated with each roles. Now, for these competencies, there are two presentations of YouTube presentation which you can refer to on presentation number 17th and 19th, which I have listed in this my slide. Such profile assignment can be done digitally, but must be done diligently, and each role must have many authorization profiles attached to it. So this will make the organization free of independent of the names of the individuals. So once, even if a person designer leaves or gets transferred, promoted, the role which were attached to him, they can be assigned to different designers. For future reference, you can refer to chapter 11 and lecture 26 in my handbook, where more details about these roles and profiles are there, captured there. My book is titled as Ethics in Real Estate and Disability Industry, Volume 1. And the blog, you can refer to my website, where I have given this how to assign roles to architects, interior and designers systematically. Now, there are some articles which are there on the Facebook and LinkedIn also. And this book is available on the Kindle format or a paperback also at Amazon.in or Amazon.com outside India. And these are also now available in hard copies in some of the retail outlets in India. Thank you very much.